It began like a whisper in the dark. At first, no one noticed. A few scattered reports, brushed off as faulty pipes, distant trains, or the creaking of old buildings. But then, the whispers grew louder and more precise, because the sound wasn't just heard, it was felt. The first documented case was in Alberta, Canada, an ordinary town wrapped in frost and silence. At exactly 12:47 a.m., a deep mechanical tone pierced the night. It didn't rise or fall. It simply existed. A flat, cold alarm that sounded like it was coming from the earth itself. Across the street, lights flickered in unison. People stepped outside in their pajamas, confused, holding their phones high. But none of the recordings worked. The audio either glitched, distorted into static, or vanished entirely. It was as if the sound had a mind of its own and refused to be captured. Then came the silence. A heavy, suffocating silence that lingered for hours. No birds, no cars, no wind, just stillness like the town itself was holding its breath. By the time the sun rose, something had changed. People complained of migraines. Pets refused to go outside. Some children spoke of the man in the fog who came with the sound. That same day, several trees near the forest edge were found with strange markings. Deep grooves spiraling around their trunks almost burned into the wood. But this wasn't isolated. Within weeks, similar reports emerged from cities across the globe. Birmingham, England, Nara, Japan, Casablanca, Morocco, even a quiet village in northern Russia. Always at night, always the same alarm, never loud but impossible to ignore, and always the same aftermath. Unexplained power surges, pets going missing, the feeling of being watched. It was as if something, someone, was testing the boundaries of our reality, sending a signal into the world, waiting for a reply. In Tennessee, a truck driver named Raymond Holloway pulled over one night after hearing the sound while crossing an empty stretch of road. The tone rang in his ears, vibrating through the steering wheel. When it stopped, his headlights failed. And standing just a few feet ahead, in the beam of the dying lights, he saw a figure, not walking, not standing, just hovering and listening. He never drove that route again. He never talked about what he saw, until he vanished. That same year, a group of hikers in the Andes Mountains experienced the sound during a snowstorm. One of them, a documentary filmmaker, described it in her journal. It was like being inside a tuning fork. My vision blurred. My heartbeat didn't match my body anymore. One of their cameras, shielded in a thick case, picked up something. A few seconds of usable audio. The waveform was analyzed and the result was unnatural, not random, not human-made, not machine-generated. It had structure, rhythm, precision. A physicist at a university in Norway noticed something uncanny. The waveform mimicked the brain as theta wave patterns, those associated with deep meditation, with sleep, and with near-death experiences. This wasn't just a sound, it was a signal, a pulse, a kind of frequency that could speak to the human brain. And it didn't stop there. A few conspiracy theorists linked the sound to the infamous ARP project, suggesting it was a mind control experiment. Others believed it was part of a mass psychological operation, preparing humanity for some event, a global reset, a revelation. Some called it the precursor, a warning. But the most terrifying theory came from an obscure archaeological dig in Kazakhstan, where researchers uncovered a 3,000-year-old slab with markings eerily similar to the waveform pattern captured in the Andes. The slab, carved in obsidian, contained inscriptions that, when translated, read, "The sky will sound before the earth opens." No one could explain how an ancient civilization described an audio frequency using patterns not understood until modern science. And yet, the sound continued. Tara Benning, a biologist stationed in Alaska, was the first to document it scientifically. She didn't panic. She listened. And when the alarm came one night, low, metallic, hollow, she activated her field equipment. Directional mics, seismographs, even EEG sensors connected to her assistant's sleep study. The results were chilling. Not only did her assistant's brainwave activity spike to theta levels within seconds of the alarm, but the EEG picked up foreign interference, an external signal seemingly syncing with the brainwaves. Tara described the experience as like someone trying to tune us, like an old radio signal adjusting, searching for the right mind. Some speculate that the alarm isn't a warning. It's a test, a calibration, a connection attempt. But to what? The question remains. Who or what is sending this sound across the planet? And why are only a few people able to hear it? Are they chosen? Are they cursed? In 2024, a short-lived podcast called The Frequency was launched by a former intelligence analyst who claimed the sound was first detected in classified deep-sea monitoring stations back in 1998. He alleged that the alarm was not from here, and that agencies around the world had tried and failed to respond to it. Within 3 weeks of releasing those episodes, the podcast was deleted. Its host disappeared. The truth is, the more people investigate the sound, the more the sound seems to retaliate. Hard drives fail. Witnesses go missing. Memories become foggy. Like something doesn't want us to remember it clearly. And maybe that's what's most terrifying. Because if this sound can travel anywhere, affect anyone, and erase its own existence, what chance do we have of understanding it? What if it's not a warning? What if it's a countdown? Have you ever heard the sound? Have you ever felt your chest tighten, your lights flicker, your ears ring with something no one else notices? Comment below. Your experience may not be just coincidence. It might be part of something bigger,